Hi, and thank you for joining us today for Georgia Institute of EMS's EMS Preceptor course. My name is Tom Camplain, and I'm going to be one of your instructors leading you through this program. I'm also going to have some other instructors that are going to be helping me lead you through the program. But first, just a little bit about myself. I've been a paramedic for 20 plus years, been teaching as an educator for a lot of those years. Also, I am the CEO of Georgia Institute of EMS, and we are here to help you get through this program. If at any time during this program you have any questions or concerns, please contact me there. There's my email address, tom@gaiems.com, or you can call me at 678-561-2368, and we will get to you and we will help you out. But before we go any further, I want to go ahead and take some time and introduce the other instructors that will be helping us through this program. So first, I want to go ahead and introduce Andrew. Andrew comes to us from many years of EMS experience as an educator and as a provider in the field, and he currently works in the field now providing advanced life support to those in need. So Andrew, can you tell us a little bit more about yourself?
Sure. I've been active in EMS as a provider for over 20 years, and about 15 years of that as an educator. My main experience on the provider side has been in the fire-based system as well as county third service. So that's my experience on the 911 provider side.
Well, thank you, Andrew, for being with us. And next I want to introduce James Cox. James Cox, once again, comes with us. He probably has about 20 years of experience, or getting close to 20 years experience there. He's actively working in the field now, and I'm going to let him kind of say a little bit about himself there.
Hey everyone, this is James. I've been doing this probably about 21 years now, since 1997. It's a long time. Probably been an educator for about 13 of those years. I've got some third service experience, some industrial experience, and some municipal fire experiences where my background comes from.
So what I've got here is that we've got three of us all here together who have a wealth of experience providing emergency care in the field, but we also, over the years, these 20 plus years that we've all worked, we've always have always precepted students, haven't we, at some point in our career. And everyone here that's watching this video, taking this course, is taking this course to gain a better understanding of how to properly precept students in the field to help them obtain their certification and obtain that licensure and be able to work in the field as an emergency medical technician or an advanced emergency medical technician or a paramedic in the field. And us getting them there takes a whole team approach. It takes the educational facility, it takes the student, and it takes the preceptors in the field to help us get them work ready. So with that, let's go ahead and let's move forward and get going. Maybe. All right, now we're cooking with Crisco. So one of the common things you'll hear out there as a student, students will hear this, and I'm going to go ahead and say I've been guilty of saying this, and y'all correct me if I'm wrong, but that's not how we do it in the streets. Have y'all ever heard that?
All the time.
All the time?
Yes, absolutely.
But is it really how we do it in the streets? And what is that attitude? That attitude is just going to confuse our students and stuff. Students learn a standard, right? What kind of standards do they learn in the classroom, James?
Well, the standards that we'll set forth in the classroom would be the proper sequencing of doing a blood pressure check or doing an airway or setting up the oxygen container. And there's steps that they have to do, that they have to follow And a lot of times I think the preceptors forget, because they've been doing this for so long, that they forget those little things that the new students don't know yet and don't have ingrained. And so they have to learn those standards before they can actually function in the street.
It's like the foundation of a house, right? You gotta have a strong foundation.
Absolutely.
Yep. So, with this, Andrew, how could you see, how would this confuse a student?
Well, I think as a student, you're coming into this profession completely green. So when you're shown how to do something, you take that as the absolute gospel, that this is how we do it, this is how it's going to be done from now on, and from everyone that I assist or watch perform that skill, and it becomes extremely confusing when you get out in the field and the folks that are supposed to be helping you are doing it completely different. I don't think anybody will argue that at the end of the day, there are a lot of different ways that we can arrive at the expected or the ideal outcome. But ultimately for our students, we need to ensure that we reinforce what they were taught so that our actions in the field are an actual demonstration of the correct way of performing that skill. Otherwise, they're going to go back to class, start communicating with their fellow classmates. Well, hey, this is what we learned in class, but that's not at all how they do it in the field, which only leads everyone else in the class down that same cloudy path of, well, if they're not doing it in the field the way they were taught, then what's really right? And we don't want students to be confused. Our EMS curriculum is hard enough for a new student to grasp. The last thing that we want to do is to add unnecessary confusion.
Exactly. So like Andrew was saying, when the students go to school, they have a rigid curriculum that they have to follow. And the instructors have to follow that curriculum to ensure that the standards are met and that the students meet a minimum level of competency that kind of gets them ready as that entry-level EMT or advanced EMT or paramedic that's ready to go out in the field and be ready to successfully pass that skill exam or that licensure exam, either one, the cognitive or the psychomotor exam at the end of their program. So the role of the preceptor is to help strengthen that foundation so that the students feel more confident, and also that the educational facility is aware of any shortcomings or any more remedial training that student may need prior to attempting those end of course exams and prior to gaining successful certification to work in the field. Would y'all agree with that?
Yes, and the preceptors, they need to remember that they are the first people in the field that these students see. The students have seen the instructors in the classroom and in the labs, but these are the first people that they see doing the job in the field. And so the preceptor's attitude towards the student and towards the patients can have either a positive or negative effect on that student and their possibly the outcome of their schoolwork.
Exactly. So your job as a preceptor is going to be to ensure that the student is doing the skill the way that they were taught to do it. So that means that we need to coordinate. If you're a preceptor, you may need to look at skill sheets, review what the current trends are, what the current curriculum is. What is it that the student is being taught in the classroom so that behavior can be modeled in the field? Do you agree with that, Andrew?
Oh, absolutely. And I would also say that most of the folks that are going to be taking this class have been in EMS for quite some time, and we've always joked in the field that this is the practice of medicine because it's constantly changing. But I look back on skills, procedures, medications, you name it, that I was taught in my initial paramedic education that have completely changed. Now, if I have not done a good job or my service has not provided me continuing education, I may be in the bad habit of reinforcing bad information to those students. So it's absolutely imperative that if you are going to precept these students, you know what they were taught, you're up to date on the skills that they're supposed to have, and you're also up to date on the current status and scope of EMS.
Exactly, because it's changing.
Absolutely.
You know, now EMTs and even I think first responders in some places are administering Narcan in the field, which is something that they could not do a long time ago. So we need to be, you know, if you have an EMT student riding with you and there's an opportunity for that EMT to administer Narcan, that's within their scope, and that may be something you may allow them to do in a way. So if you did not know the procedure that they were taught or the way they were taught to do it, well, then you may be contradicting something there. So the purpose of this course is going to be to prepare the intermediate EMT, advanced EMTs, or paramedics for their role as a trainer of EMS program students, or that preceptor there in the field. And it's also to provide a mechanism for identifying EMS program trainees who do not meet the minimum performance standards before they get certified. So this course is going to go over some things to help give you the tools to recognize those shortcomings and to be able to report those shortcomings to that educational institution so corrections can be made before the end of the program going forward. So what we're going to do is we're going to go over in this entire course, we're going to be looking at some policies, some rules and regulations that affect EMS and the educational delivery system of EMS in the state of Georgia. We're going to look at some preceptor responsibilities, and we're going to talk about principles of learning, principles of communications, and we're going to look at communication and observation skills, and we're going to try to apply that, get to the point where we can accurately and correctly apply correctional training to students in the field when needed. We're going to look at and understand the use and how objectives play into it, course objectives, and that's what we're talking about is course objectives. Every chapter that an EMT student or advanced EMT student or paramedic student goes through, there is a whole laundry list of objectives that have to be met. Your role as a preceptor is to help them get through those clinical objectives. So we're going to kind of talk about how they're written and what they mean and how to interpret them. We're going to look at evaluations, and we're going to see how they apply to you as the evaluator, because those evaluations that you fill out as a preceptor are like gold nuggets for an educational facility. We're going to look at the performance plans and the documentation that goes along with it, and then you'll have a final exam at the end of the program, and then you'll get your certificate stating that you completed this program and get your continuing education hours. But first, I want to just quickly, and we'll be hitting on this a little bit more, but you need a good introduction to the rules of being a clinical preceptor, because these rules are written and are hard clad at the State Office of EMS, and there's actually some laws out there that we have to follow. So 511-9-2-17 parentheses 6 in the state states that a clinical preceptor may precept paramedic, advanced EMTs, and emergency medical technician students at or below the preceptor provider license level. B states clinical preceptors can only be approved by the course coordinator. The course coordinator is that lead instructor or that main instructor that the students have at their educational facility, and that approval process is usually done well before the class starts. And the course medical director as well. Only after successfully completing a clinical preceptor training course approved by the department, which is what we're going through right now. The course coordinator must maintain these clinical records for for 2 years, and that is the educational facility's responsibility to maintain those course records going forward. Now, we also have the official code of Georgia 31-11-2 16.1. It states that the paramedic clinical preceptor means a Georgia certified paramedic with a minimum of 2 years of emergency medical services experience who meet the standard requirements for paramedic preceptor training as established by the department. So if you're going to be a paramedic and you want to precept paramedics, you're going to have to go through this course or another course similar to this. Then 53 and 54B states that while in training preparatory to becoming certified, trainees may perform any of the functions specified in this code section under the direct. Now, if you notice, it says direct supervision of a licensed physician, registered nurse, or an approved clinical preceptor. That means that while you have a student that's riding with you and you're precepting them, you have to, as a preceptor, directly supervise them. You cannot put a student in the back of the ambulance by themselves and hop up in the front of the ambulance and drive to the hospital, leaving the student in the back by themselves. You actually have to directly supervise them at all times, and you are responsible for that. Would y'all like to add anything to that?
I don't think there's really much to add. That's pretty cut and dry.
Pretty cut and dry, right? So just remember, directly supervision. And as people will think, like, oh, I'm just precepting, I can't get in trouble. No, you can get in trouble for not precepting correctly. If you are precepting a student, you need to make sure you are supervising them at all times. So in summary, during the course, you're going to learn how to work with students and educational facilities to help them get these students ready for subsequent certification at whatever level that they're trying to obtain. And we're going to bring that we're going to bridge that learning environment so that what they're learning in classroom equals to what they're doing in the field. And that's our main goal there. So with that, that's it for this module. If you have any questions, please feel free to contact us, Georgia Institute of EMS. You can email us at info@gaiems.com. There was my email address I had at the very beginning of the program, tom@gaiems.com. Or you can give us a call at 678-561-2368, and we'll be glad to answer any questions you may have. So the next module will be technically Module 1, and we'll see you during Module 1. Thank you.